Hello everyone, Zynar here, and we're going to discuss something that, again, for gaming purposes, we're gonna talk about session zeros. Sessions zero? I don't know. I don't know how it really goes. So, some game masters, and this is for GMs, DMs, and players. So, we're gonna go over some quick basics of session zero, and hopefully everyone has a better grasp of it if you don't know what a session zero is, or you don't know what to expect from a session zero. So, session zero is basically everyone gets together and the framework of the game is going to be laid out. Excuse me. And we've got uh, players will either completely generate characters or potentially iron out parts of their characters. And the GMs will be doing the same, where they're going to be gathering information about the different player characters and adjusting their story and stuff like that. So session zeros can go many different ways. It all depends up to the group and to the game master, or the dungeon master. And we're going to look at a couple different aspects as a player. So you're going to be prepared to have character options with you. If you have to have your stats already done, or a certain framework of stats done, whatever, be prepared for that. You also need to look at uh, how your character's going to fit into the world, how your character's going to interact with potentially other characters. This is when you get to sit down and build those bridges between other player characters. Like, I don't know, I'm going to have my bard is going to know the fighter because we were in school together, something like that. Or, my bard's going to know the wizard because the bard kind of slept with the wizard's sister, or something like that. So, and then you can build these bridges between other player characters. So that way, the game doesn't start where you all start in a bar and you're together and fight. It doesn't have to be that cheesy. So as a player, you need to have concepts ready, background ready, and be flexible too. Obviously, you're going to be working with the storyteller, whoever it might be, to come up with other ideas or possibly change your character a little bit because it doesn't fit the world so well. Or they're going to address things like, I really like this character concept, except I think you as a player can either do A, better going this direction, or B, I think this character concept might be a little bit too difficult for you to play, and I want you to have fun and not struggle with it. Now, this is where all the constructive and creative powers collide. This is session zero. So, again, you come as a player and you start interacting with the other player characters or the other players and figure out how characters are connected. And some players are going to be, well, now we don't have a healer, so I got to play a healer. So I'm change my whole character concept so we can have a healer in the party and things like that. And that's going to happen too. Because some people, that's how they play. That's just how it works. So, and this is where you get to adjust based on information that the storyteller's going to have from the universe, the setting, whatever's going on. Do I want to change my background a little bit? Do I maybe want to change my equipment because my gear doesn't fit the setting very well? Hey, there's pistols available. If it's a fantasy setting, all of a sudden there's pistols. Well, that might change my character a little bit. Or crossbows haven't been developed yet. Only bows. Oh shoot, that kind of changes my character that has the crossbow, the wrist crossbows and stuff like that. So, and everyone sits down and works these details out. Now, as a player, you might be asked to role play a little bit with the other players and their player characters. You might be asked to role play a little bit with the game master or storyteller directly because they may ask questions or put your character into a position where the game can start. So you have to be prepared for that too. But it is primarily a research kind of social gathering, looking for compatibilities between people or incompatibilities between people because that can happen. That happens a lot. And it's fine. Not everyone's going to be able to get along perfectly. But remember, everyone comes to the table to have fun. So, for the session zero, you have to be prepared to make adjustments to your character, and you might even sit down and go, "Wow, I really didn't think my character out well enough. I should make some really, really big changes." And this is when you get to do it, and you talk to the game master about it, and say, "Okay, look, I screwed up. I don't like him or her or it. Can I change it?" you go through different processes with your storyteller, and you get things all ironed out. So when you guys, gals, when everyone sits down for session 1, everyone's ready to go. So if you have any questions about your character's powers, abilities, skills, spells, equipment, techniques, whatever you want to call it, any of that stuff, you need to address it in session 0. Have everything spelled out for you in session 0. And session 0 can be a group gathering. Session 0 can also be done individually. So the game master may not want to have the group come together in a session 0, and each individual player gets their own specialized session 0 with the storyteller. That can happen as well, and that can happen over the phone, in person, over chat, and character concepts can be ironed out. It's up to the comfort level. Like, I've been playing for so long. I've had some groups that have known each other for years, so we didn't have session 0. Session 0 was maybe a 15-minute phone call with somebody to iron out a few questions about their character, and that was it. And we were done. So, because everyone knew each other, and everyone was pretty much cool with what each other person played. So, we didn't really question it a whole lot. And but there's other times that, session 0 is okay. Let's all sit down and generate our characters from scratch together, which can be quite a big train wreck if only the game master knows the setting, or the rules, not the setting, but the rules. And then as a player, you really have to be patient and also pay attention, because the DM GM needs to go around to every individual and roll your stats or use these points, and are you done with this step? If you are, please be patient. We'll move on to the person that's struggling with it. So, because quite frankly, not everyone likes numbers, and role-playing games have a whole lot of numbers. Oh my god, So it's you gotta have patience with that, and that turns into a really long session 0 usually. Because if you have to sit everybody down to generate a character, it usually means that character generation rules are very convoluted and very complex. And there might be a few people that know them, there might be a few people that don't. And just be patient, and if you're a player and you know the rules, feel free to assist if the game master wants you to, and help out. I am against other players generating another player's character, though. So, as a player, your character is your character. The more you put into it, the more invested you will be, the more enjoyment you're going to have. And I've learned this over the years, no matter what. If someone hands you a character, you're not going to have as much enjoyment unless you made the character yourself. So, please, spend the time, generate your character, ask all the appropriate questions, and so on and so forth. Now, if you have homework as a player, like read this information about the setting, please do it. Please do your homework so you're ready for when the first session comes up, and you're not asking questions that could have been answered if you would have just read the whatever homework you would have had. Like, some people don't know the setting, so you give them a pamphlet, or this is like a story or a quick start or whatever, so you can learn the system, the setting, whatever it might be. Please follow up and do it. Okay. It's not that everyone really wants to have homework to do, but it's kind of necessary. I hate to say it, but it is really kind of necessary. So, I would really, advise a player to get that stuff done. And if you can't, tell your group, tell your game master first. Say, hey, look, I don't really have time for this. Is this going to be a problem? But then know that you can't, speak up and say, well, I didn't know about this. Well, you had the opportunity. You're just going to have to roll with it best you can. Now, let's switch to the other side of the table. Let's go to the Game Master here. Session 0. This is your opportunity to know everything about your player characters that you could possibly need. Any questions you might have about them. Any things you're like, wow, that is super powerful. I don't want that in my game. Because that's going to happen too. And what you're going to want to do is rule out all of the incompatibilities, and you're going to iron out some things about your setting where you're like, wow, this is kind of a really cool idea. I want it in my setting now, or I want to make this change or make that change, and I try to steer away from crazy session zeros that everyone's generating these overly complicated characters. It's going to be a social event. Make it a social event. Turn it into something more than just everyone crunching numbers and big lots of sheets of paper and books open everywhere and dice rolling all the time. Turn it to we're gonna have dinner or lunch. We're gonna maybe have if it's really complicated, we're gonna have like a video game console set up in the other room or something so people can trade off on a fighting game or a racing game or whatever, a party game of some kind, or even have a board game or card game, quick one that people can you can rotate people in and out if you need to. So that would be a big benefit as well. Maximize the use of your time because in everyone's time. Don't just you can't just use it as your time only. So, and now we're gonna go to the some other benefits that you get to have. So if you want to sit down with each individual player, you can do a role playing session. You can have them roll some dice. This is when if you want to introduce anything special to each player character, you do it. So they have any information you need to hand out, you have it handy and ready. That way you're not scrambling at the very end. And this is also where you get to set the guideline. My session zero is going to be 2 months before the game, for example, because that gives you plenty of time to flesh out what you need to flesh out after the players generate what their characters. Maybe the characters are very important for the story in the fact that their backstories are going to be really integrated into your story. So you're going to need time for that. Bring that up at the very beginning. Hey, this is my session zero. I'm going to say that a lot. And, I'm going to need 2 months after this, so we can get this done, and I can get this done right, and I incorporate everything you guys have. Guys and gals, I apologize, but what everyone has. And I think that would be a great idea. That's a great idea as long as you have that up front. And, if you have any limits on the setting, like I'm going to take this off the shelf setting, I'm going to go with this, except I'm going to change X to B because I don't like X at all. Or I'm going to eliminate X from the entire book. For example, I don't want dwarves. I hate dwarves. Dwarves suck. They're worthless. I like dwarves. But, you can do that in your setting and say, I don't want any of this in my game. So take it out. But let everyone know at the very beginning that this is out. And then, again, players pay attention. So when the game master explains the setting, that you don't generate something and then have a completely different concept of your character. So, for example, we'll use Outlander, which is a background from Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So you're from a different land. So that different land could be, when I had a setting where Outlander was someone from not from this area, completely different kingdom, completely different land. Somebody picked Outlander and they were like, oh, we were just in the backwoods. No, you didn't listen when I told you that Outlander means this, and because it's already been picked and this is now turning into a thing in the game, I have to go with the Outlander that my setting is demanding of me because that's what I need to do, which means you are not from this land. That's it. You can't say that you ever were. You can't say no. You're from somewhere else. If you don't like it, you should have paid more attention about your background, as an example. So, or I don't want this subrace, or I don't want this spell, or this ability, or for example, in my current game, I don't have any feats. Feats are optional rules. I'm not going with them. I don't want them. I have found in the past that people tend to min-max their characters more when they have the option to plan ahead. So, well, if I can get this feat and I can turn it into that feat, because I come from, when feats were introduced in 3.0, Dungeons & Dragons, it turned into this nightmare where people had basically this huge journal of, I will have this feat at this level, and this feat, and that feat, and that feat, and that feat, this prestige class to get to this prestige class to get this feat, and so on and so forth. It was ridiculous. And don't really flow with the game then. You just have this mechanical min-max monster. Now, not everyone does that, but a lot of people did, and it sucked. So, I apologize for the train in the background. And it really made the game awkward and strange, and I wanted to have a fast-paced, no nonsense, let's not deal with this kind of extra garbage. and no one's gonna have feats. That's it. No feats. Done. It's an optional rule anyway. And people are like, well, why not? And they're like, I don't want them. I just don't want them in the game. Now I introduced them in the game as boons that the players ended up getting a feat here and there, kind of a situation. But it's not like it was a focus of the game where you level up, you get a feat or ability boost. No, just get your ability bonus and keep going because it's faster. And my group we're all adults. We all have busy schedules, and it's not like I want everyone to sit down and try to pour over the book and go, oh my god, I gotta figure out my feet, I gotta figure out and how it reflects in this character. No, just you get ability bonus, you're done. Keep going. Fast, easy, quick. That's what the focus of my game was. But you have to have that explained in your session 0. You have to explain that to all of your players and all of your anybody else that could possibly be in the game. And if you have preferred, like, I want to use this character sheet, I want to use this format, I want to use, I'll allow use of this or that. Like, I recommend, or my players are using spell cards. Great, it helps them out a whole lot. Love it. If you want, if you allow digital at your table, or you don't, or you only digital at your table, that's kind of things that need to be explained at session 0. That way there's expectations are set, and everyone should be prepared and ready to go. Another example I'm going to have is I ran a Star Trek role-playing game, and there's a website called Memory Alpha, and Memory Alpha is basically a Star Trek wiki. And I told everybody that bring your laptop. This is a while ago. Sorry, it's old. Tablets were not very prominent at this time, but bring your laptop, your device, whatever it might be. You can get online and search through Memory Alpha because it's Star Trek. You have a ship's computer. You have access to information. Use it. I'm not going to stop you. Go ahead, use it. Your character can access the ship's computer and get information. If it's questionable information, ask me first. That's it. Like, is it something that could be classified? Sure. Starfleet may have classified it. You don't know about it. Perfect. Starfleet did not classify it. You can look it up. Perfect. So I encourage that. I encourage that extra, interaction so people can look things up. And sure, I don't know everything about the Star Trek universe, but it was nice for them to, I kind of let my players do their own research. That was easy. So let's set those expectations at session 0. Set those guidelines, those goals. Get your story built beforehand, and then modify it after everyone gets their stuff done. The players all get their things done, and you can sit down and modify it, tweak it, and control the pieces that you need to alter or adjust. Sit down with everybody. Oh, I'm sorry, your character really can't be this alignment, or can't have this ability because it doesn't fit my setting, and work that out. And then when session 1 hits, you are all off and playing and running and going, and the game just flows and it's great. And you also, during session 0, you also find out people that may or may not get along together. You might want to put them on different sides of the room. You work out things like arrangements for snacks and travel. If it's a in-person game, if it's an online game, you work on scheduling and everything else. You provide like Roll20, make sure everyone's got their characters and their character sheets and access to the information they need, and you have tokens ready, and let people do what they need to make their tokens and whatever it takes to get everything ready for the very first actual game. So nobody sits down and goes, I don't know how to do this. I don't remember how to, I don't know how to do that. Now, people might forget if you have breaks and stuff, but it's just like, you go over the basics first and you get it taken care of. So that way, there's no questions later. Nobody has to sit down and try to reinvent the wheel. And, life goes a lot easier that way. So, but this has been my discussion of session 0, its importance, your expectations, and also if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I will try to find answers to any of those questions, and but really it's turning into one of those things that session 0 has become much more important because we have many more people playing the game now, the games, and from many more locations and many different backgrounds. Where before, back in my day, the geeks were the geeks. Now, gaming is popular for everybody, so everyone's playing. So some of the background stuff clashes a little bit because not everyone's from the same walk of life anymore. The only thing that brings everybody together is the fact that everybody loves gaming. So, and everyone wants to have fun gaming. So, keep that in mind. Enjoy your session 0. Hope you get as much as you can out of it. And, have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.